I built a Claude Cowork system that takes care of 80% of my social media management workflow and saves me hundreds of hours per month. It researches my niche, studies what competitors are using, finds the patterns people are actually reacting to. It turns those patterns into LinkedIn posts and Instagram posts. And then it helps me organize everything so it's ready to review and schedule. And in this video, I'll show you exactly how the research works, how the agents and sub-agents are set up, the prompts that I use, and how I turn the results into a full content calendar that I actually use week by week. So before I show you the prompts, there is one thing that makes this workflow work so well. So the system I use breaks the workflow into separate roles. When I say agent, I don't mean anything complicated. I just mean Claude doing one specific job at a time. One role researches, one role finds patterns, and one role turns those patterns into content, and another role organizes the calendar. And then we need the social media management tool, and that becomes the place where the approved content can actually be reviewed, scheduled, and managed. For this video, I'll be using Vista Social because it allows me to manage profiles, scheduling, drafts, approvals, and publishing. And they actually recently launched an AI feature that generates videos and images for me, so it can help me create and visualize concepts. So I'll head towards Vista Social's MCP website, add it to Claude, authorize my Vista Social account, and choose the workspace or profiles I want Claude to access. Once it's connected, I test it with something simple. For example, show me what Vista Social profiles are connected to this workspace. If Claude can see the right profiles, then I know the connection is working. The rule of the system is simple. Claude can research, draft, organize, check the calendar, and prepare drafts. But nothing goes live without final human approval. Now that the workflow is connected, I can start building the content system. The first step is research. If I'm creating content for a social media management brand, I don't want Claude to guess what people care about. I want to know what the audience is trying to achieve, what frustrates them, what questions they keep asking, what objections they have, the workflows that they're struggling with, what types of posts or videos they are most likely to engage with. So I'll start with this prompt. For example, if the research shows that people are overwhelmed by content planning, I do not want the final angle to be more consistent. That's way too generic. So depending on the answer, I want to take time on cleaning up until it produces something that I'm actually happy with. Because as I always say, the quality of your output is defined by the time you invest giving Claude the right context. So once Claude understands the audience, I move into competitor and pattern research. This is where a lot of the best ideas usually come from because you can see what the market is already responding to. But again, I don't ask Claude to magically understand the entire internet. I give it the niche, the platform, multiple competitors or reference accounts, and a clear output format. If I'm building content for a social media management brand, I want to know what creators, agencies, SaaS companies, and social media educators are already posting about. What hooks keep showing up, the problems people are commenting on, the topics that are getting repeated, and even the formats that get most attention. So I use this prompt. This is where the system starts getting more useful. Instead of asking AI to invent random ideas, I'm getting it to look at patterns. These patterns tell me where opportunity is. And once those patterns are clear, I'm ready to start filtering. This part of the workload is the one that by far saves me the most time later. Before I create any LinkedIn posts or Instagram videos, I ask Claude to turn the research into content angles and then pressure test those angles. Because if the angle is weak, the post is going to be weak no matter how polished the writing is. So I use this pattern agent. Again, this just means Claude has one job. Look across the research and find what keeps coming up. So here's my pattern agent prompt. This prompt stops the workflow from becoming content spam. For example, a weak angle would be how to stay consistent on social media, which is too broad. A stronger angle would be if your content calendar only works when you have a free afternoon, you don't have a content system yet. That's more specific and it speaks to a real situation and it sets a useful explanation. Once I have those angles, then I can finally let Claude start writing. Here's where the content agent comes into play. So I'll paste this prompt, then I paste the best angles from the last step. Or it might turn into an Instagram video that opens with that same specific angle. That is a lot stronger than 3 tips to stay consistent. But now the content is connected to an audience problem. It has a platform-specific format and it's easier to review because I know why each post exists. And from here I can keep refining. I might ask Claude to make the LinkedIn hook more direct, make the Instagram caption shorter, rewrite the CTA, or give me 3 versions of different levels of audience awareness. Claude can create the options, but I still decide which ones actually sound like something I would publish. Remember, take your time here. It's already saving us tons of time, but we still need to be the final approval layer before anything goes live. At this point, we have a batch of content ready to go, but we need to turn it into a publishing system. So now I use my organization agent. Now Claude turns the batch into something I can actually review. Instead of a messy chart full of ideas, I get structured calendar. I can see why posts are ready, which one needs visuals, which captions are too long, which hooks are weak, and which ideas are too similar to the other. Because the goal is to schedule ideas that are actually worth publishing. At this point, the Vista Social connection becomes really useful. But before I add anything new, I need to know what's already been scheduled. Because if I already have 3 posts going out to LinkedIn next week, I don't want Claude to randomly recommend 5 more for that same day. And if Instagram has empty days, I want it to know that before I schedule the new batch. So I asked Claude to check the connected Vista Social workspace. Now I can see where the content should actually go. If I only use Claude to write posts, I still have to manually figure out how these posts fit into my real calendar. But when Claude can help me compare the new content against what is already scheduled in Vista Social, the workflow becomes much more practical. It can tell me if Monday is already crowded, if LinkedIn has enough content, if Instagram needs more short form ideas, or if I'm repeating the same topic way too many times in one week. Once I know where the content should go, I ask Claude to prepare the approved post for Vista Social. However, I'm very specific about the boundary. I don't want anything to be published automatically. That's when the next prompt helps us a lot. Once the drafts are prepared, I can review them inside the same workflow instead of copying and pasting everything manually. Then we want the AI to review the prompts. So I'll go ahead and add my draft review prompt, and now Claude gives me a clean renew list. Once I have the renew list, I can fix anything that needs work right inside version. If the Instagram captions are too long, I can tighten them. And if something is missing a visual, I can flag it. Now each post has a status, each platform has a purpose, and anything that still needs work is clearly marked before it reaches the final scheduling step. But again, the rule stays the same. Only approved content gets scheduled. Anything marked revise or hold stays as a draft. Once I confirmed, the approved content can move into Vista Social where it belongs. So here's what we started with, a blank calendar with a lot of manual work, and now Claude has done all of this. Claude won't replace me, but it is taking parts of the workflow that are repetitive, messy, and easy to put off and turning them into a system that I can run every week. If you want to try this yourself, I'll leave the prompts within the description so you can build your own workflow. And if you want to take it to the next level, you can download this video, transcript it, and get Claude to give you the step-by-steps that you can follow. I'll also leave a link to Vista Social below if you want to connect it, review your drafts, and manage the scheduling side all in one place. If you want to know how I use Claude to create viral carousel designs, check out this next video.